Hey nerds, I'm Creator Carl, and in this video, we're making a cracked Mjolnir.
So here are all the parts in Cura. Like I said, this is the Dio 3D model, and it comes in quite a lot of parts. So the handle comes in 4 segments, and you've got this part here that has, which is the bottom of the handle, and it's got a little segment there where you can put a leather strap through. And you've got 2 main parts of the handle, which you can either glue together or PLA weld, or what I'll show you in a second is how I fuse the parts together in Meshmixer to make one complete handle. Moving up, we've got the main part of the Mjolnir, which if you look just in the middle there, you'll see a hole that goes right through it all the way to the other side. And it's the same with the handle as well. You'll have a hole that goes straight through the center of these 3 parts. And that is for a, I believe it was a 5mm rod. So you can grab one from any DIY shop. And all that acts like is like a spine for the model, so it keeps it secure and it makes it feel a bit more solid. And then you've got the sides of the hammer, 1 side and 2 side, and then it also came with these separate parts, which I also fused together in Meshmixer. So we'll head over to Meshmixer now and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so here's the same model in Meshmixer. If you import all of these models at the same time into Meshmixer, they should all come in like this as one complete looking model. And like I said, I use this to combine all my parts together. And how I do that is we'll do the handle first. So hold down Shift and select the 4 parts of the hammer. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then once you've got multiple parts selected, this menu on the left will pop up. And what we want to hit is combine. And we'll let Meshmixer process that. And what it's doing is combining all 4 of those parts together to make one solid model. So that's done. If we just hit transform, which is basically the moving function that you have in Cura. And we can move that as one whole model now. So we'll accept that, put that to one side. And we'll do the same with the side caps. In fact, while it's to the side, I'll show you just here. If you looked right down the center of it, that goes all the way through to the end cap, that hole. And like I said earlier, it's a 5mm rod that you want to get for it. And it just acts as like a spine for the model, something to keep it solid. And that goes all the way through the hammer to the back of this end cap here. And I just hot glued it in place is all. So if we do the same thing, select the cap and the greebles for it, hit combine, and that will do its thing again and make it one solid model. And then we'll do the same with the other cap as well. Okay, so that's all done now. So we've taken all the parts that we dropped into Meshmixer and we've whittled it down now to just 4 pieces that we need to print. When I made this, I didn't fuse the end cap of the hammer with the main part of the hammer itself. I don't know why I didn't, but it still fits together nicely even if you don't. If you look inside the main parts of the hammer here, why you don't want to fuse the end caps together is if you want the lights in the hammer like I have, you'll need to be able to take them out to change batteries and etc. So what this model has are these little slots here, these round slots, and they are designed so you can glue in some neodymium magnets. And they are really, really strong little magnets. They're great for kind of pulling force, so they're really hard to pull apart. But if you slide them around, like if you try to say push one down and push one up, they come apart really easily. And it's the same on the side caps here. So they marry up really well with the model once it's printed. So we'll go back to Cura, drop these in and start printing them. Okay, so back in Cura, I'm now on a Creality CR10 printer here. And it fits very nicely the handle on there. That will just print this whole one part. The only supports it should need are the bits that just go through this hole here, Once that's printed, you just punch the supports out, and that's where a leather strap would go if you were to put a leather strap on it, which you kind of need to. It's force hammer. But if we pick a printer like my Ender 5, you'll see that it doesn't entirely fit on the print bed. In which case, in your Meshmixer, if you have a printer this size, what you want to do is just join maybe the bottom cap and the first part of the handle together as one part, and then do the hammer in the second part with the end of the hammer and the second part of the handle. And the model itself comes together in a way that they'll just slot together with a bit of hot glue or super glue, and you won't even notice it, especially once you've got the leather straps around it, like around the handle here, or if you're painting it, it can just sand out with a bit of wood filler on it as well, and that seam will cover up completely. And then if we go back to my CR10, let's get rid of this model and put out the other parts of the hammer. We'll look at them fused together on the bed. Here's the rest of the model on the bed. Like I said earlier, I didn't fuse the main part of the hammer and the top part of it together. There's no reason why you can't. I just didn't think of doing it at the time. The main hammer just prints very nicely as a standalone model. You don't really need to edit or tweak it at all. And this cap here also prints pretty well just standing up. I think all I did with this was just turn it probably about 90 degrees. And I think I did it this way up actually, just to stop loads of supports being built in for the cracks going up the side of it. Kind of hard to avoid it with the main part of the hammer, but that's just how the model's designed. As for the rest of it, these are the side caps that we fused together, and I think I printed them kind of like this. Easiest way to do it would be upside down on the bed like that, but you're going to lose a lot of detail on the bottom of the hammer there to just where it's adhered to the build plate. And it's a bit finicky this way. You have to tweak your support settings a bit just to make sure it sits comfortably. Or what I ended up doing, if you have one, is I resin printed these parts, and it kept the detail on these greebles really nicely. There's no reason an FDM printer won't do that. You'll just have to up the print quality a little bit, because sanding inside these was a bit of a pain. As I said, there's no reason why this can't be printed on an FDM printer. Just figure out where your supports want to be, and to be honest, if we slice this the way it is, this will take about 16.5 hours, and obviously you want to make 2 of them, and it looks pretty decent on the bed. The only issue you might have is just where these supports are there holding it up. Just sanding back out and getting a detail of the side of that greeble there. Otherwise, it looks like it'll print out pretty nicely.
And here are all the parts 3D printed. We've got 2 ends fused together. The main part of the hammer with the topper and the handle. These have already been sanded and primed, sanded down to 180 grit, and with a first priming coat.
Okay, so this is me spray painting the models. I put another coat of primer on, which is why they're black now. Sanded that down, and now what I'm doing is putting a silver base coat on, which I got from Custom Cans. And then after this, I put a Stone Effect Rust-Oleum grey paint on the hammer. Now what I haven't recorded is how I finished the handle. So if you just go onto Amazon, you can search for like a strip of leather or fake leather, and they come in quite big rolls. It was about 10 quid for, I think, a 2x2 square meter roll of this stuff. And all I did was wrap that around the entire hammer and glued it in place with some cyan acrylite glue, which is a 2-part glue. It should come with the actual super glue itself and an activator pen. So if you put the glue on, say, the handle of the hammer, and the activator glue on the back side of the lever, wrap it around as tight as you can get it, and then hold it in place. And once that was tight and wrapped in place and solid, you'll see the handle rings form underneath the lever. And if you just get a clean, sharp Stanley knife or X-Acto knife, just cut around the edges of the rings, and then they should strip away quite nicely. And then for the lights, if you just go onto Amazon.com again, or anywhere will do these, you'll want to search for a 5-volt USB RGB LED strips, and they have to be 5-volt because you want to plug these into a portable charger, and usually portable chargers work really well with 5 volts. So once you've got all that, I'll show you next how I've set up the lights, and you'll see it with the leather wrap on it as well, so kind of get an idea of what I mean with where you want to cut around the leather wrap on the handle.
Okay, so that's the hammer built and all the lights are installed now. All we need to do now is switch them on. Hopefully your lights came with a little controller like this. Some of them have some effects on it. Mine, for instance, has a flash, strobe, fade and smooth effect, and I can also adjust the brightness of mine as well. The only thing you've got to try and get a knack off is trying to find the receiver through the cracks like that. There we go. And obviously once it's on, you can then control the lights as you wish.
Okay, so just to recap, inside the hammer you've got 5-volt LED strip lights which are plugged into any portable charger, just any cheap one that you can find in an electrical shop or DIY shop or whatever. And the end caps are held on with neodymium magnets, which you just glue into place with a bit of hot glue.
And there you have it. That is the correct Mjolnir from Thor Love Thunder. I'm Creative Carl. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see any future builds or how I made Thor's Love Thunder helmet, check out my channel and subscribe for any future projects. Thank you so much for watching.